enforcement despise Stephen Avery. Stephen Avery was a shining example of their inadequacies, their misconduct.
No one ever intended to do anybody any harm by this. We firmly believe that we had the guilty party at the time.
This was one of the biggest miscarriages of justice I ever saw in 20 years of criminal defense work and thousands of cases.
That was a clip from the Netflix series Making a Murderer that has gained a lot of attention and some criticism. The series tells the story of Stephen Avery, the man on the left, and his nephew Brendan Dassey on the right. Avery was released from prison after serving 18 years for an alleged rape that he did not commit. Shortly after his release, Avery, along with his nephew, was arrested and convicted of murdering a different woman, Teresa Halbach. Now there are questions about whether he did that crime. Judge Janine Pirro is host of Justice with Judge Janine and a former Westchester County, New York District Attorney. The District Attorney. Judge, good to see you.
Good to see you.
There's such a movement now in this country to get him released from prison again. Just because he's a victim of the system once doesn't mean it happened again. And in fact, the odds of it happening twice, you tell me.
I don't believe in coincidence in these kinds of cases, but I have looked at this case and there is evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that 12 jurors unanimously believed that this guy Avery killed the victim in this case, a 28-year-old woman. There is no question he called her. She was at his junkyard. She was there to take a picture. He said she left, but the only people to see her were the people who were at his place. Her bones are found near the house. Her DNA is on a bullet fragment in the garage with her blood. His DNA is under the hood of her car, which was removed and placed in a secret area of the junkyard. Look, there is evidence here. And Megan, it's like anything else. If you make a decision that you're only going to present one side of the story, everybody's going to start saying, oh my gosh, this guy is not guilty. I'd believe it too if I saw Netflix, which is why there are more than 200,000 people asking for this guy to be pardoned.
And this apparently started not as a documentary meant to be a fair and balanced presentation, but as a defense submission. And only this is what the prosecutor said, that only once Netflix got interested did they start to pepper in some more facts from the other side so it could appear balanced, but that does taint the piece a bit, does it not?
Well, it clearly taints the piece, because when you look at the evidence that was not presented in this documentary, as they call it, then you realize that what they did was try to sway their audience. This isn't a documentary. I don't believe it is a documentary. Where is the victim's family? Where is the, the sympathy for them? There's all kinds of sympathy for Avery and his family.
I asked him last night, the prosecutor, why, or the defense attorney, I asked him, how, if your guys didn't do it, why were her bones on the property? He said, we believe they were burned someplace else, and that the campfire they set in the backyard could not have burned the bones in that way.
Oh, that's hogwash. You could burn those bones the way they were burned, 20 feet from where this guy Avery lives. And to follow that line of reasoning, Megan, you would have to believe that the police, the prosecutors, the crime lab technicians in 2 different counties, remember there are 2 counties involved here, all got together and said, let's kill this 28-year-old woman and blame it on Avery, and let's move her bones from here to there, when everyone knows she was at that junkyard doing her job, that she had said to her boss, the guy gives me the creeps, I don't want to go back. She was afraid of him.
That he had called her.
He called her and he used *67 to cover up that he was calling her, and then calls her to make believe on a direct line that she never came and he was trying to get her there.
The other thing that is disturbing is his talk of torture, of building a torture chamber while he was in prison serving a wrongful sentence. We have the video. Let me see it. What video? Oh, the handcuffs that were introduced at trial. I'm talking about his statement in jail that he wanted to build a torture chamber.
He described to other prisoners the fact that he had what he called a dream torture chamber. He actually drew it for another inmate of what he wanted to do to young women. He wanted to rape them and kill them. And isn't it interesting that here is a guy who gets a young woman, that he answers the door apparently, with just a towel, and she's creeped out by him. He lures her to his property under the guise of, I need you to take a picture of one of the vehicles in my junkyard for this magazine to sell it. And she ends up burnt in his yard 20 feet from his house. Now, I don't believe in coincidence, and you've got a jury, you've got appellate courts, the highest court in Wisconsin, have all agreed that the evidence was solid, that the case was properly tried. And whether it's, you know, any one of a number of cases, you can claim anything, but it's about facts. And if there are new facts here, a court can certainly make a decision to reopen.
Governor Walker has said he does not plan on pardoning him, and that's where they need to go, to the governor. And the other thing is, before you petition to get somebody pardoned, don't you have an obligation? Go read the transcripts. Why don't you read the full confession? Take a deeper dive on your own into the facts of this case, as opposed to just taking. And I'm not disparaging the filmmakers, but before you ask for somebody to be let out of prison, you better be damn sure you're in support of that. Judge, great to see you.
Good to see you.
She used to put them all in prison. She is the one who put bad guys in prison. We do have the filmmakers on this show tomorrow, so we'll talk about some of these issues.